What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Rooney. We got an episode today going through a whole bunch of things. We're recapping the Jets-Giants game. We're going to be going through our MVPs and LVPs of the game against the New York Giants, that Snoopy Bowl loss, and then go into expectations for Friday. So I know we just talked earlier this weekend, right before the Giants game, but wanted to get back on, recap the game, and talk a little bit about what the rest of the week is going to look like moving forward for the New York Jets. So, of course, we'll start off with trivia. I have to do trivia, and we're probably not going to do a gym break today because the Mets, they haven't looked that great. Luckily, they just took the series from the Mariners, but that's as much you're going to get from me today on the New York Mets. So, let's start off with trivia. So, my trivia question for today is: in 2005, the New York Jets got in a very uncomfortable situation where they had to start play 5 different quarterbacks. So 5 different human beings that played the quarterback position threw a pass for the New York Jets in 2005. Who are the 5 players that threw a pass as a quarterback for the New York Jets in 2005? I will answer that question at the end. All right, let's get into this game recap. Now, obviously, I'm devastated. If there's anything that I care about in this entire world, it is the Snoopy Bowl. And unfortunately, we are not going home with the Snoopy Bowl trophy this year. Because unfortunately, it was a beatdown. The Giants really kicked the Jets' butt 31-12. It doesn't really feel like the Jets were kind of in the game at all, really. I think there were moments for sure, but it got away from them pretty. It just felt like it got away from pretty quickly. We weren't really moving the ball well. I don't know. It was just one of those games. And it's really tough in the preseason for a team like the Jets that don't have a super deep roster going up against former starting quarterback, former first-round pick Jameis Winston late in the fourth quarter. That is a starting caliber quarterback against our fourth-string defense. We're not going to win that matchup at all. For as much as everyone makes fun of the Giants roster and the Giants quarterback room, that's a pretty deep room. If you have Jameis Winston as your third-string quarterback, I don't know if he's actually going to stay on the team, but that's a pretty good situation, especially with how Jackson Dart was playing. He was playing really well, so who knows what they're going to do with him. But, yeah, it's tough for us to win that battle. So let's talk a little bit about how it all went. Let's start with the offense. So offense did not have the day that we expected, especially coming off of that high with Green Bay. But Justin Fields, we'll start with him. Not a great day for Justin Fields. He finishes 1 for 5, so he only has 1 completion. It was for 4 yards, and he had 1 scramble. But otherwise, he was pretty off with some of his passes. He was threw behind Garrett Wilson twice. He threw over Breece Hall's head that probably should have been picked off on a little dump off. Now, for me, when I think about Justin Fields, I think this, number one, we're not showing anything. I'm sure the New York Jets are telling him, please do not run the ball if you don't have to, because we don't want you to get hurt. Stay in the pocket and try to deliver your passes, and we can get away from this game unscathed. We're also not showing anything in terms of the creativity of play calling, like the RPO game, which is going to be a huge part of our team this year. Like the tush push, all this stuff to get him out of the pocket, rolling around so he can run whenever he wants to. We're not going to do any of that in the preseason. So I think taking away that part of his game, it's not fair to judge him on what he's going to look like in the preseason when we're not letting him play to the best of his ability. So you got to keep that in mind. I'd also say, too, this is what the Jets are probably going to be this year. There's going to be some moments like the Packers drive where we're going to be like, whoa, what are we watching? And then there's going to be some moments like this game where we're like, oh, whoa, what are we watching? So it's really going to be up and down. I also am going to say, get used to playing some boring football. Like you saw on that second drive, we ran the ball, 10 out of 12 plays on that drive, and we marched right down the field, which was really great to see. Of course, we couldn't get the first down to kick a field goal, but that's the kind of football that I think they want to play. They want to play bully football. It's going to be boring, and hopefully the running backs and Justin Fields' legs can take us to the promised land. Now, I will say the one thing that's kind of driving me a little bit nuts is that we can't connect with Garrett Wilson. I really want to see those two back on the same page from where they were in college. It was a long time ago. It was 5 years ago now. But we're not going to be able to move the ball if we can't throw to Garrett Wilson eventually at some point. So, yeah, it was a rough game for Justin Fields, but it's the highs and lows. It's what you're going to get, and you just gotta go with it. I would say for the rest of the offense, I'm looking around the team. I thought Brees played pretty well. I thought he had some nice holes that he could run through. I thought Braylon Allen played really well. I loved the holes that AVT was pulling together. I thought there were moments where Membu played well, but there were also moments where he got beat pretty badly by Kayvon Thibodeau, I think it was a few times. Whether it was him getting off the ball late, so there was speed around the edge, he couldn't catch up. Luckily, Mason Taylor was there to help. I didn't see anything from Olu, so I thought he looked fine. Usually when you don't notice him, that's probably a good thing. That means he's not doing anything wrong. So I thought the offensive line played pretty well, except for Membu. It was also great to have Tippmann back at center. That I think he's way better than Myers. I think we're seeing that now, and it looked for a nice cohesive unit with John Simpson back in the lineup too. So I thought the offensive line was good. Mason Taylor, he only had one catch for 4 yards, but it was nice to see him out there. So nothing crazy there. Nothing from the other receivers, so it was a pretty quiet day across the board for the offense. But yeah, get ready. That's what this is going to be this year. It's going to be a lot of running, and it's going to be a lot of ups and downs. Hopefully, I think the big thing is, can he protect the ball? No fumbles, no interceptions. So otherwise, we'll just keep running down their throats. And you saw it. It was 3rd and 8, and we ran with Braylon Allen right up the right side behind AVT, and we got a first down. So when the Giants, they have this roster, especially on the D-line, it's like their NASCAR package, which has Brian Burns, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, you got Abdul Carter. They didn't have Dexter Lawrence in there, but he typically would be there. What do you do when you have players that are fast pass rushers like that? You run right at them, and that's what they did that entire drive. So it was cool to see. So that was the starting offense. I think the backups, I thought the quarterbacks actually looked pretty confident. Adrian Martinez played pretty well. He had a bad interception, which, he should have thrown it away, but he kind of just chucked it back into the middle of the field, and it was picked off. Don't throw across your body, can't do it. Thought Brady Cook looked good as well, so I really liked them. I think from a running back perspective, Kene Nwangwu, I think he just won himself the official job this week. He was taking a lot of the carries, and he was also the primary kick returner. So I think he's on the roster. I think it's going to be very hard for Donovan Edwards to beat him out. I also thought Donovan Edwards didn't have that great of a game. He had 8 rushes, only 21 yards, and he had a few kick returns to try to see if he could be a kick returner, and he kind of just kept running into his own guys on the kick returns. So, I didn't see a lot out of Donovan Edwards in that game, so kind of came back down to earth. Now, the big people who played really well in this game, Quentin Skinner had a great game. He had a beautiful one-handed diving catch in the back of the end zone for a touchdown, which is great. He had 3 other receptions for almost 50 yards, so he had an awesome show. And I think, once again, he's 6'5". I got him behind me on the picture here. He's 6'5", and he can catch. He can go up for the ball. It was really good to see. So I think he won himself some brownie points this week, as well as Brandon Smith. Brandon Smith, another big guy who's been very consistent. 5 catches for 48 yards. He had another really good game, and he's just been consistently good, it sounds like, this whole training camp and now in the preseason. So very happy with him. One guy that I was iffy on. We got the full Arian Smith experience this week, a few drops, and then 2 really nice catches in the 2-minute drill. I think what was good about it is he did come back and recover from the 2 drops. It didn't melt him down completely. But you got to catch these balls. When it's in your hands, it's right in front of you, it's in your chest, you got to catch it. And that's what we need out of a starting caliber receiver. We can't have someone dropping passes, because between him, Lazard, it's too many drops across the board. So he's got to clean it up. But hey, he's got time. He's got time to develop. We don't need him tomorrow to be the number 2 receiver. Actually, we probably don't need him ever to be the number 2 receiver. But so that was interesting. I would say out of the other receivers, really no one else stood out. Let's go to the tight ends. Tight ends, like I said, Mason Taylor, 4 yards, nothing crazy. The play of the day, though, definitely the highlight that's being thrown around everywhere, is Stone Smart absolutely decleating Abdul Carter. It was an awesome chip block, just knocking him to the ground, and then whoever the lineman was, I don't remember, I think it was Chukuma Okorafor, just nails him into the ground right after that too and keeps him down. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Now let's talk about this for a second. So this play happens, and everybody's tweeting out that Abdul Carter got absolutely pancaked on the chip block. it was hilarious. If you haven't seen the play, like watch him get knocked over. And then Abdul Carter tweets, might be the only highlight of the Jets all season. And we put BTA, weak ass Chip, ate that MF like barbecue. Now, when I think of the Giants and the Giants fans, the Giants are like the old school, like kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, we are a proud organization that is professional and we run the right way. And in the last 2 weeks, we've seen two guys in the last week, two guys on the Giants tweet like they were playing for the Jets, like little babies, where it's Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau is not a good football player. He's average, so he wants to tweet all he wants. He's going to get ripped apart because he's not that good of a football player. Abdul Carter, we'll give him this one because he's probably going to be one of the better players in the league, hopefully, for Giants fans. But man, this is sad. Like, ooh, did you really tweet this out? Like, that's kind of embarrassing for you. You could have just said, good Chip, I'll get him next time. That's all you had to do, or not say anything at all. But man, to say that that's going to be the only highlight of the Jets all season, no offense, Abdul Carter. They were just the third overall pick. You're on one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and you've been, along with the Jets, one of the worst teams in the league in the last 10 years. So you better watch what you're saying there, because that might not sit well for the rest of this year. So that was wild. I couldn't believe he actually tweeted that. He didn't do anything in the game either, so it was kind of nice that we kind of, ignored him the entire game, which was great. And he was playing against our second string too, which is wild. So that was stone smart. Hell yeah. Jeremy Ruckert, saw absolutely nothing from him. Once again, he's non-existent. I saw him miss 2 blocks, so I don't know what's going on with Ruckert. Otherwise, the rest of the tight ends, nothing crazy. Defense. Let's talk about the defense a little bit. No Sauce Gardner, no Jermaine Johnson, no Will McDonald, no Quinnen Williams. So definitely missing a lot of the big guys on defense, which, I didn't think the starting defense played horrible. We had one horrible play where Cisco completely, I think he stumbled a little bit. He was flat-footed playing safety, and Russell Wilson just threw one of his beautiful bombs right over Cisco's head to get them down to the 1. Good for him for running back to catch him at the 1-yard line. But that was the big miss. So unfortunately for Cisco, that kind of killed us. But other than that, we only gave up 6 points as a starting defense. Or 3 points? Oh, no, we only gave up 7 points as a starting defense. So, what are you going to do? It's one big play, and you don't have Sauce in there. So I'm sure there was miscommunication between Cisco and I think it was Stiggers on that side. So that was tough. But I thought the rest of the team played okay. We didn't get a lot of push from the D-line, which I was hoping for. Jay Tefele didn't have the game that he did the week before. I didn't see Leonard Taylor that often. I think he had 1 or 2 QB hurries. I did like the play of some of our secondary players, though. We mentioned Stiggers. I thought Stiggers had a pretty good game. He had an interception. I think there was one pass where he lost his footing a little bit, but otherwise I thought he had a good game. Jarek Bernard Converse, JBC, it was great to have him back. He had, I think, 2 tackles. One that was against the goal line, which was a sick tackle. Not an easy one for a player like him at his weight to make. So I thought he played really well. And then another guy that hasn't really been talked about too much, but Dean Clark. Dean Clark, the safety, he had 6 tackles. He had an interception, 2 pass deflections. So he had an awesome game. Now for him, he's trying to make either the practice squad or the roster. He's got to make this somehow. So I think he put himself in a good place to actually make the team. I'm skimming through the list of other folks on the team that I thought played pretty well. Let's see if there's anyone else that stood out to me. Michael Carter, great to have him out there. He's an awesome player. I'm so happy that we have him still. He's great. He had a great pass deflection, so that was good to see. Brandon Stevens, too. He had a really nice guy caught the ball along the sideline. Brandon Stevens knocked it right out of his hands. That was a great play. I like to see him play the ball because that's where he's struggled in the past. Now, the players that I didn't think had a great game. Malachi Moore, I'm really dying for him to start at safety, but it's clear he can't right now. He missed a few tackles. He keeps tackling with his shoulder, which is weird. He propels himself into players, which we can't have because we've seen that too much from safeties in the past. It causes way too many problems. So that was a really tough look. He's not ready. Maybe he'll come in certain packages, but he's not a guy who's going to start over Tony Adams at this point, unfortunately. Other players that I'm looking for are some of these signings and some of these rookies. I haven't seen Rashad Weaver at all. I saw him out there, but he didn't do anything. and he was like this being talked up as a like starting D end in rookie minicamp or in minicamp. So that was kind of weird that I didn't see him at all. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that stood out both positively or negatively. Oh, there was one more guy I wanted to highlight. Who was it? Oh, Tyler Barron. Where is Tyler Barron? Like, this is a rookie that we drafted in the 5th round. And I haven't seen him make a single play. He looks like he shouldn't be out there. It's not pretty. It's really not pretty. So, yeah, he had a really tough game. I would say overall, other than Gibson got hurt too, so he had a bad game. I would say the other thing that stood out too is we have a punter. This guy, Austin McNamara, he's a good punter. I'm like, holy cow, this is great. We're going to punt a lot this year, so it's good to have someone like him. So very exciting about Austin McNamara. But overall, not a great game for the Jets. There were some good things, some bad things. It's a preseason. It's week 2. I'm not going to, I'm trying to stay level. Where last week was the high of highs, this week was the low of lows. We'll see what happens. So kind of a tough little outing there for us. Hopefully, we've got the Eagles on Friday. Hopefully, we have a better showing, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But let's do our 3 MVPs and 3 LVPs from this game. So I've mentioned all of these guys already, but let's harp on the 3 that I think are the standouts. My number 1 MVP from this game is Quentin Skinner. I think he's doing a good job of making a really strong case for him to make this roster. That 6'5" receiver who scored the diving touchdown in the end zone. So great job by Quentin Skinner. We need people like him. Number 2 is actually another receiver, Brandon Smith. Once again, another great game from Brandon Smith, consistently, playing well this entire summer. So he's also making a shot at the roster. And I think Brandon Smith could play special teams, which we may need. So that's really helpful. And then Dean Clark. Dean Clark was probably the best player in the game on Saturday with the 6 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 2 pass deflections, and an interception. He had the game of his life. I wanted to put Quantez stickers on here, but I couldn't squeeze them in. I also thought about putting the punter on there, but I thought that'd be kind of weird, so I left the punter off. So those are my 3 MVPs. And my 3 LVPs. We talked about it. Jeremy Ruckert, non-existent. I have no idea where he is. When he's out there, he's not blocking well. I don't know what they're going to do. Is he going to make it? Are they going to have 2 tight ends and a fullback, and that fullback can kind of play both tight end and fullback? I don't know. Are we going to scour the waiver wire when people get cut? Because, man, this coaching staff is not tied to Jeremy Ruckert at all, and he's not doing anything to show that he should be out here. So that was a tough one. Number 2, I went Donovan Edwards. After a great game in Green Bay, didn't do a whole lot. He seemed a little bit slower. It didn't seem like he had that burst that he did in Green Bay, and I think the kick returning really hurt him too, because that could have been a way for him to get on this roster. And I don't think he pushed his way in. But you never know. If Isaiah Davis is hurt like he is right now, maybe there's a place to put him. And then finally, my biggest LVP, unfortunately, he's one of my favorite players on the team, and I'm really excited we have him. But he made the biggest or the worst play in the game, which was Andre Sisco letting that deep pass to, I think it was Bo Collins, over his head for 80 yards from Russell Wilson. Just can't have it. You are the last line of defense. I don't care, how good of a player you are or whatever. You're the last line of defense. You cannot let someone behind you like that, especially with a deep ball thrower like Russell Wilson, who can hit that any day of the week. So Andre Sisco, this is where he didn't perform well last year, and we saw it in the preseason here. So hopefully that'll get better with Sauce Gardner out there with him, where he's not stuck in no man's land all the time. So, but Sisco's not going anywhere. He's starting at safety. He'll be fine. So that was my MVPs and LVPs. Now, I think one of the big things we didn't get to talk about is just today, the New York Jets put Chris Boyd on IR, which means he is out for the season. So Chris Boyd, if you remember, he's the guy we signed from the Texans to actually be our special teams ace, because Irvin Charles is out for most of the year with his torn ACL from last year. So, unfortunately, in the practice I went to, he actually got hurt right in front of me, and he hurt his shoulder. He couldn't get up for the longest time. It looked really bad and really painful, so I'm not surprised to see them put him on IR. But what this does is open the door for some people to make the roster that maybe weren't considered before. What that means is maybe someone like a Donovan Edwards, maybe a Quentin Skinner, Brandon Smith, Jarek Bernard Converse, Quentin Stiggers, some of those guys. there's a chance now for you to make the roster because we need someone to play special teams. Obviously, I think Stiggers already makes it, but JBC, I think, now gets on the roster too. So who's going to fill the spot for Boyd? That's going to be the big question coming up. Now, the good news is we got a game on Friday. So we just played Saturday. We're playing again on Friday. It's the first home game of the entire preseason. Unfortunately, we only had one. And the Giants game was an away game technically, but man, it was good to be back. It was so nice to be like sitting in the crowd, watching the game. You can't see everything that happens, so I have to rewatch the game every time I get home. But it's just good to be there, and it was a beautiful night. And I'm hoping we get the same thing on Friday. The weather's looking good. The big question is going to be who plays on Friday. If I was Aaron Glenn, I would play the starters again. I don't think we've had enough run to say that, hey, this team looks really good and is ready to roll. I don't think Justin Fields throwing for 2 yards a pass over the past 2 games, that gets me excited for week 1. I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be a little more confidence that we gain going into the regular season, especially you're going to have a week off in between that Eagles game, Labor Day, and then the first game of the season. So that's 2 weeks without football. So I would play them. I could see us doing a thing where it's like once you score, you're off. So even if it's a field goal, something like that, if it's the first drive, I'd like to see him play a quarter. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's too risky. But, I'm watching games right now. I'm seeing Joe Burrow play for an entire quarter, and he's not even pulling himself out. They took the receivers out, and he's still playing. So I don't know. I could see Aaron Glenn saying, nope, we're going to protect our guys. We want to see the rest of the roster, but I would probably play them because I need a little more confidence going into the regular season that these guys are ready to go. I would sit the big defensive guys. Quinnen I would sit, Sauce I would sit, Jermaine Johnson I'd sit, Will McDonald I'd sit. I'd consider sitting the linebackers. I don't think we need to see either Jamie Sherwood or Quincy Williams. I'd probably sit, maybe you want to put Cisco out there just to make up for what happened. Brandon Stevens can sit. I don't think I need to see the starting skill players on defense. I need to see the D-line, some of these backup corners, backup linebackers, and backup safeties. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this game shakes out. I highly doubt the Eagles play anybody. They haven't done that all preseason. They even sat their backup quarterback last week, which is crazy. Week 3 of the preseason is normally kind of boring, but you get to see some of these young guys try to fight for a roster spot. And then coming out of this game, we'll be able to nail down what is our final 53. What's the prediction that we're going to make? Because final cuts will only be a few days afterward. So this is it, the last chance for a lot of these guys to either make a roster, make a practice squad. And then we'll see how Darren Muji does with the waiver wire and bringing some more talent to this team. So that's it. A disappointing loss in the Snoopy Bowl, but another game coming up against the Eagles. And the best news of all is none of this counts. None of it matters for anything. I was just listening to the Badlands podcast, and one of the things that Connor Rogers said is the preseason lies, and it definitely does. We thought Christian Hackenberg was the future. We thought Mark Sanchez was going to be the greatest quarterback to ever walk the planet. And David Clowney was going to bring us a few wide receiver MVPs. And it never happened. So we'll see. But let's do the trivia question. Let's wrap that up, and then we'll get the heck out of here. So the question was, in 2005, we had a very unfortunate set of circumstances with injuries, things like that, where the New York Jets had to play 5 quarterbacks throughout the season. Who were the 5 quarterbacks the New York Jets played? And it doesn't mean started. It means just played. So we got number 1, of course, Chad Pennington, the one who got hurt. We had to bring back 50-year-old Vinny Testaverde to play. We had Brooks Bollinger. Dolphins, not legend, I'll say longtime Dolphin, Jay Fiedler, who was the one who came in after Dan Marino for the Dolphins. He played for us for 10 plays and got hurt. And then finally, the last person, the 5th quarterback to play, was Cliff Kingsbury. Threw 2 passes for the New York Jets and is now the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. So he's been getting a lot of love lately as an offensive coordinator. But that's it. Those are the 5 quarterbacks. Not a good year for us. I think we were 4-12 that year. It was coming off a great Pennington year, so it sucked that he got hurt. And the whole season just went awry right after that. So that is it. I appreciate everybody listening to the Juicy Jet podcast once again. Please follow. We're getting so much traction on TikTok, so don't be afraid to follow there. I'm going to do this trivia question as Trivia Tuesday tomorrow, so don't tell anybody the answer if you actually listen to this episode. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Jets do the rest of this week in practice and on Friday. And we're going to start to figure out who are the players that are going to make the 53-man roster going into week 1 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will talk again a little bit later. See ya.